He's so veiny. He's so veiny.
Aloha! I am Jeremy Vaeni, the star of He's So Vainy, a show about being vain. I'm a sweaty mess, and yet I'm going to do 2 episodes back to back. Record 2, not show 2. Look at that. It's like a special effect right there. These are 2 out of 4 suggestions who come from a listener or a viewer or a viewsener, just like you, and perhaps actually you, Robert Lewis Moore, who says, I have a few suggestions for you, Jer. Thanks for the familiarity, Rob. Paul Hederman, John Aston, Kieran Trace, and Angelo DeLulo. And I was like, great, I'll look into them. Well, Paul Hederman, it turns out, I don't remember anything until I'm bad, until I see them. And I'm like, oh, Paul Hederman, right. I actually wanted to do a thing on him, but I haven't yet, and I will. And then I will tell you in that episode why I hesitated. John Aston, I'm unfamiliar with. Kieran Trace, I'm unfamiliar with. But Angelo DeLulo, I was also unfamiliar with, or I thought. I had already forgotten about him. I had him lined up. I had a video that I wanted to do months ago, and then I just forgot all about him. And like when I went to his YouTube channel, I still didn't remember him. He looked kind of familiar, but I was like, oh, I don't know. But then I was going to, I downloaded a Kieran Trace video to do her thing, but then I clicked on the title of what we're actually going to do today. We'll do Kieran Trace next week, but how to experience non-duality. And I was like, ooh, I want to know how to experience non-duality. So I opened the video and boom, there's Angelo DeLulo. So I already had that video, but I had been looking through after you'd suggested him. I hope this is all making sense. I began looking through his YouTube videos, and I noticed something that was, I don't know, disconcerting to me, and so I wanted to do him first, and then we'll do Kieran, or whoever next time, and then the other 2. Okay. There's not a chance that my hair is going to look good. It's okay. When you're as veiny as I am, hair's out of place, ain't really out of place. All right, so here he is, but his actual channel isn't called that, which was why I didn't know, even as I was looking at this video on my list, that it was him. His YouTube channel is Simply Always Awaken. So this is Angelo DeLulo. The channel is Simply Always Awaken. And here we go. This is How to Experience Non-Duality.
Enlightenment just is. We don't have to find it. It's just the nature of reality. There's no one in it. There's no separate entity enjoying it. There's no one and nothing apart from raw, unfiltered reality to observe it, categorize it, capture it, discuss it, share it. This is not a process of self-refinement. It's not a process of gaining spiritual insights. It's not a process of finding your true nature. If anything, it's a process of seeing reality so clearly, so closely, without filters, that the undivided truth just overtakes you. It becomes the only possible way of experiencing.
Okay, so here's what's disconcerting to me about this. I feel like he's trying to mesmerize us, because almost all of his videos that I just clicked on to see, like this thing with the moving background and the just staring into the camera like this, is that something he does with every video? And it's something he does with most of them. I went back to a really early video where it was just like a sort of, I don't know, like a brick background or something, like an old 1980s stand-up comic background kind of thing. And he was can't remember what he was talking about, but it was something where he was, oh, I think the title is something like "Enlightenment will happen at the end of this video," or an awakening happens at the end of this video, something like that. And so when he introduces it, he's like, "An awakening happens at the end of this video, yay!" He like does one of those things. So I know he can be animated. I know that this sitting rigidly still, staring at the camera, saying his words like this is a choice that he's making. And I know that the ever-present moving background, which this is actually the least offensive of them, because some of them will just, give you a seizure if you're not careful. I think putting those things together, he's trying to mesmerize us. I could be wrong about that, but it's certainly for an effect. And um, you know, it, if what you've got to say is so unimportant or uninteresting or wrong that you have to do that, then maybe just don't do YouTube videos. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. Get another line of work, son. But as far as what he has said here so far, you can call it quibbling, but the quibbling, the devil's in the details. Um, there is no process. There is no truth overtaking you, and even if he means these metaphorically, we need to stop using language that puts the listener or the viewer in mind of the thing they think you're actually saying, right? Because again, it's keeping truth as a second person or third person event, something that happens to you, an intelligence that consumes you or overtakes you or whatever, as opposed to what one naturally is when we stop doing our own processes. So it's not, you know, I see what he's trying to get at. I just don't think he's getting there in the clear way that you need to have a shot of having the light bulb go off and complete understanding occur. That said, nothing I've said or Judah Krishnamurti before me or, like Buddha way back when has said has woken anyone up really either. So, you know, maybe maybe there is no magic combination to, anyone going, huh? Um, but still, I'm a stickler. So here we go.
Non-dual experience, non-dual realization is a component of this. And it's illustrative in that we don't have to find a place where we feel merged or unified. That's already here.
Well, I'm down with that so far. But then why is non-duality a component of this? Isn't it the whole game? In fact, isn't what we're talking about the relaxation or the dissolving of the dual mind for non-duality to be revealed as you? Isn't that what we're actually talking about? I mean, what beyond that are we talking about?
We don't have to merge with an object to experience non-dual. It's a matter of seeing without the filters of separation, without the filters of subject and object. Seeing in such a way that we forget what we thought we knew about the body, the mind, the objects of seeing, labels, distance.
Okay, novice rookie mistake here. This again gets me to like, okay, this is why the background's moving and he's sitting and doing this because he is what I would consider to be a learned man on this subject. And so he is, in my opinion, most likely pretending to understand this from the inside out, as opposed to stuff he's read and comprehended. Because uh, there is no seeing. Not it either is you or it is not you. It is the first person experience that one is or it is not. There is no, the second you set up like non-duality, you don't have to be merged with the object. And of course, there's no such thing as objects, but you don't have to be merged with the object to be one with it. You just need to see things in this way. Well, now you're setting yourself up to remain as you are and eventually have a power. I can almost guarantee you, if not him, someone else is going to sell to you down the line of like, here's how you have your, make money. I don't know, like, whatever it is. It's going to be like something that you buy into because you are the one who is still the active component here when the active component needs to break. You need to like have a what do you call that when the companies screw you over in like 7 years of buying like a TV, the way we just went through. Oh, planned obsolescence. That's right. I wish the self was planned obsolescence. Then I wouldn't even need to do this show.
Photons, retina, optic nerves. When we forget all of that and just the seeing remains, then non-dual has a chance to reveal itself.
That's silly. Um, I mean, if we just forget how like the body works and stuff. So if you conk yourself on the head, say like an anvil falls on your skull from a great height, and like a cartoon, you spring right back up. Hopefully, if you have amnesia, you'll become enlightened. No, sir, no.
The seeing is just what's there, not seen by anyone. Requires no effort, no processing. There's nothing to capture it. It's self-revealing, self-obvious, self-supporting. Just that visual experience.
Self, self, self. So the self is still there. The self is very important in this. The self is not dissolved. The self is seeing. The self is not being. The self is, well, the self we're talking about needs to have dissolved for true being, being with a capital B, to be the case in the body with a lowercase b, I guess. But don't tell him that. That might enlighten him.
With no experiencer, no distance. So non-dual is just the way it is, when our mind isn't telling us a story about how it is, or why it is, or where it is. It's here and there. When seeing just sees, when there's just that visual, non-dualistic experience, then the sense of here and there collapse.
What does this mean, the seeing? See, is this another like ploy like the Buddhists like to use to get you to like hyper focus and imagine stuff? And then, if you do enough repetitive practice of like creative visualization, maybe you'll actually see the thing. Is that what this is? Like if I imagine what I think non-duality is, I will physically see it. If I just forget how my eyes actually work, then I will hallucinate a non-dual experience. Is that what this is? Is that what he's saying? I'm not really sure, but it smacks of that. By the way, if what I'm saying here at all sounds like, or in any of these videos that you may have watched of moi, sounds like a truthier truth than say this gentleman who I'm critiquing, just know that my book Urgency, which is all about this stuff, has something like 14 reviews on Amazon. While his book, I saw he has a book, and I don't remember the name of it, but I guess I don't have to because he's got over 800, something like over 800 reviews on Amazon for his book. So I just, if you ever wanted to know that you're on the right path, it's that's a good tell. 14 versus 800 something, because clearly there's something that all the selves out there really connect with what he's saying. Because essentially he's talking about self-empowerment, not our worst fear, death.
They're not needed. The sense of purpose, as far as this experience, is also not needed. We don't need to understand. We don't need to label. We don't need to apply effort. We don't need to meditate for seeing to see, because it's always this way.
I don't know. Again, how about being to be, not seeing to see? Seeing is a process. There's you doing it. Again, I can't stress this enough, because this is the whole point that he's missing. Non-dual. There's no seer, seeing. And even if you just say there is the seeing, that doesn't get rid of the seer. It's a cute wordplay, but it actually still means duality.
So just allow the seeing to be what it is. Don't add to it. Don't add boundaries. Just that physical experience.
Again, with the physical, what is the physical experience? This is the thing that I think is the selling point too of a lot of these sort of new agey, craptastic promises of enlightenment, which is concentrating on the physical, concentrating on imagining something, the physical tangibility, right? I mean, as he's talking about essentially the illusion of tangibility and the illusion of time, the illusion of measurement and distance and separation and IU and all that. Well, there's still an I, isn't there? And the way to have this hallucination of an enlightenment experience, this false enlightenment experience, uh, is like to do it this way, to remain in and as the self, in and as the universe, never to in and as time, never to be timelessness, which transcends and includes the universe, transcends and includes the self. Of course, there are no steps. There is no process to become that. There is no becoming that. There is simply seeing the futility of processes and of the sense of becoming or evolving and all that. Actually seeing it, not just because Jer said it on a screen, but actually seeing what it means so deeply that the self is uprooted in the act of comprehending that deeply. That action is the only action, and then all of this seeingness he's talking about, um, you don't even have to worry about it, because you're not that guy anymore or gal.
You may have to tune into the colors and forms and shapes periodically to remind yourself not to rest in thought.
But also to like go to work, to find your car keys, to live.
But once you redirect attention to the visual experience, then just stay there. Don't come back home to the thought space to register that.
What is the visual experience he's talking about? It's like he's describing something but not saying what that something is, or he's describing around it. But he's not saying anything. I mean, what's the visual? What are you talking about? Because this has this is an illusion, right? It's the illusion of giving you something to do, of giving you a process, but to what end? Like, how are you to visualize this? What are you to visualize? You know why you're visualizing, because to visualize is to have non-duality, according to him, or see non-duality, or pretty colors. I don't know what. But what are we talking about? Like, what is one to do? How is one to gain that sight? To sit thoughtlessly. That part is missing.
You don't need to check in to make sure you're doing okay or to see whether you're experiencing something special. You don't need to come back home to categorize or catalog this experience. Just stay in the experience.
The experience of what, though, man? I don't want to keep repeating myself here, but watch me do it. I mean, so far, from what I gather, have amnesia about how your body works. And then, if you can achieve that, just start seeing. And then there'll be some colors. But don't jot those down, because that would be thought. We're in the state of amnesia where there is no thought. We're in thoughtlessness. I mean, this really is like, it sounds like a bastardization of Krishnamurti or something where somebody really didn't get what they were hearing. Um, and that is the easier sell, again, because anything that is from within the self, anything that is going to be appealing, more appealing to another person, a thing that they can do something with. Unfortunately, he's not telling us, at least in this video so far, what the hell he's even doing outside of forgetting stuff. And then that makes you see stuff.
Just the visual experience. Does it have a boundary if we don't reference the thoughts? Does it have a distance if we don't think about it? Does it have a location if we don't imagine a space, a room we're in, a body we inhabit? Distance is a thought. The raw experience of seeing is not a thought. It's just what it is. Is it close or far? Can you ask yourself the question, is it close or far? And then reference only the visual experience for the answer?
This is just gobbledygook. I'm sorry. But so you're saying not to think. You are a thought construct. There is no you separate from thought. So when that thought construct goes bye-bye, that's when, if there is such a thing as, nothingness, truth, timelessness, whatever, if there is something which is not comprised of thought, perhaps that becomes you. Perhaps that flowers in and as you in the absence of you, because you're a thought construct. So if you want to truly get to whatever, non-duality, something that is not comprised of thought, this is duh, right? What I'm about to tell you, thought has to be out of the way. Thought can't be there. So the thinker, therefore, can't be there. These things have to go. So there is no you having a visualization, and then, well, the key, you see, is, can you think about it, but just in reference to what you're seeing and not in reference to, I don't know what, bouncing it off your memory. I mean, again, these are all things that smack of components of things I have read or heard Jiddu Krishnamurti say, put together in such a way as to be gobbledygook. And that gobbledygook sells very well. And he may go far with this if he hasn't already. I mean, I've never heard of him, but apparently nearly 900 people have. So, paying readers who would write a review, like bother to read a book and write a review of it. So, for all I know, he's like internet famous, and I just don't know anything about him. But this is why. I mean, we see this over and over again. I see this over and over again, at least in my life, just in terms of having done, in UFO world, in this world of spirituality, in quotes. Yeah, whatever the laziest, dumbest, wrongest thing is going to sell, and whatever, you can have something that's thoughtful, and that may sell, but only to a point, only to the point that it's still something that people can look at and go, oh, that's interesting. That's really unique and thoughtful. And now I'm going to add it to my collection of other things that are range from thoughtful to stupid. And because I want to be the one who's looking at all this, juggling it, and putting these pieces together, as opposed to, oh, you just told me a thing that transcends all the other crap, that actually wipes it away, and now I am confronted with this thing that I really didn't want it to be, whether it's, again, ufology with the enigmatic other, the alien, or if it's in so-called spirituality having to do with you. Both, in both instances, have to do with you. And it's probably true in other fields. It's probably true in every field. That whatever the most craptastic, milquetoast, middle of the road, easily digestible, and I can do something with at my leisure, answer is going to be the one that sells. So um, that's all I'm seeing here. Dare I go on? I'll go on one more little bit here.
Meaning you're not referencing a thought. You don't need a word answer. So just the visual experience. Is it close or far?
Near? Far? I'm done with this Muppet.
He's so very